bring it in game 1 and show TSM that they mean business if they want to get deeper in that pool.
Well, we'll see if they've got it here, because we are into champ select for game number 1. Apex on the blue side for the first, TSM over on the red. Aurelia banned by Apex, Vladimir soon to follow there for TSM, so very standard so far.
Yeah, and yesterday, Ray had a great performance on Aurelia. He had a play that won them the game, but after getting caught out, and so banning out their own, Apex are banning a lot of power picks that you would see yourself first picking on this side. But I think it's because TSM doesn't need to ban power picks. They can target ban and then pick up multiple ones themselves. So Apex are a little bit afraid of that.
Yeah, Rise ban from Apex, followed by a Jarvan ban actually. So target ban absolutely there towards Ray. Another one arguably versus Bjergsen, as Azir will get taken out of the pool as well. And now TSM with one final ban. We'll see if it's maybe something like one of those top tier picks like Karma that we've seen still getting banned, or if TSM have another target ban in mind.
Yeah, Karma wasn't something that was picked up by Xpecial yesterday. I believe he even had the option to do so, and it was favoring things like Alistar and Braum. So I don't think that one goes through. And then they leave up a lot here. Like Victor, Cassiopeia is still on the table, so mid lane gonna be open, okay for blind picks around the second round.
Yeah, last man Jin's actually kind of curious, but first pick Rek'Sai is pretty easy there for Apex. Shrimp has constantly gone to this champion, like pretty much every other jungler in this league.
It's his best champion, and Shrimp, when I first saw him, I thought he was a Rek'Sai one trick, and his Rek'Sai is definitely leaps and bounds better than his other champions. So getting him that champion, taking away from Svenskeren, because Svenskeren, in the pregame lobby here, Shrimp, you know, I mean, like, he typed English to him and said, "Hey, blue buff giver." I was like, yep. If you're Rek'Sai, you get to give your blue buff very early on, and Svenskeren is the blue buff giver to Bjergsen super early to get him dominance in that lane, but taking the Rek'Sai away stops that early blue buff going over.
Certainly a solid option, but Karma and Sivir the lock-ins here for TSM, so a potential mid lane pick for Bjergsen, most likely a Bifrost champion as well, but really safe, really standard stuff here from TSM, giving absolutely nothing away to Apex here.
Yeah, and Apex, now you have to consider your bottom lane. You might want to pick Braum to deal with the Sivir, because of the Ricochet and the Boomerang Blades being blocked, but Biofrost is really aggressive on this Karma. He made his debut on this champion, and he was just bullying the lane the entire game long, and that's what TSM go for here. So if you pick a melee support, you're going to have to lane swap or be incredibly confident in your level 1 and push through.
Yeah, no, Xpecial certainly has been still favoring melee supports, but we'll see if he picks it up here. Keen just going through the gallery of his champions, finally settles on one he actually likes. Victor, much more current champion, will be locked in. And no Hecarim just yet. We'll see if Apollo actually goes back to Caitlyn, maybe.
I would like that pick here. That or the Ashe.
Yep, okay, there's Ashe.
You basically just want a long-range champion to outrange the Sivir, because TSM play for lane at the moment and then snowball that. They do win lane, win game, but not in the sense of not grouping up and just relying on one person. They just try to win whatever lane has the biggest advantage, and they all go for that winning lane. So TSM picking the Sivir early, a little bit susceptible to counter picks there. So Doublelift will have to be on point with his shields and try to shut down Apollo, who's looking for the engage power.
Yep, notably off the Lucian as well. Not a huge deal. We've definitely seen Doublelift branch out. Unfortunately, the Lucian means
that's a really good point, yeah.
But priority here for Sivir means that TSM probably have something specific compositionally in mind. We'll see how they round out the rest of their comp, though, because they've got 2 more picks to make here. Svenskeren, of course, cannot go to Rek'Sai, so maybe fancies Gragas instead. There's the lock-in of the Gragas, and does Haunter just want to go straight Trundle blind? I guess he does.
Yeah. A lot of these things are flex picks as well, right? We haven't seen Trundle support in a long time. We haven't seen Gragas top in a long time, but the Karma is still a flex pick. We don't know if it's going to go mid or support, so it still could round out the roster in a different way. Bjergsen has played it in the past. I remember he actually got a quadra-kill, a pentakill on it. That's right, in playoffs a couple years ago.
Famous Bjergsen moment. In fact, that's a long time ago now.
Yeah, I said a couple years ago. It was probably a year ago, and a little bit more than that.
Karma was very different back then, I believe. Or maybe not, actually. Anyway, 25 seconds for Apex to lock this in. Apollo going to hover Master Yi. One day we'll see someone go crazy on Master Yi. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Ray. He definitely favors his carry champions, but might be picking something a little more standard as a potential Rumble hover. I do expect Xpecial to take Braum here, though. It's a good pick, like you mentioned already, into Sivir. It's a consistent pick for him, and there we go. Rumble and Braum are the picks for Apex.
All right, they pick Braum so that they can have their tankiness from their jungle and their support, as opposed to forcing their top laner Ray to go for a tanky route. And he's going to pick up... He's going to pick up the Rumble. I just saw the Smite and the exhaust for Apollo, so maybe the Master Yi was something he got up the sleeve. Who knows?
Maybe he's practicing, you know?
Yeah, still. Anyway, the Rumble for Ray in the top lane. Yeah, let's go.
In, finally, Bjergsen. He said it. I'm a Talia main now. All right, I guess he's going to have to prove it here. Third game for the weekend as the champions, pro players are really starting to pick this champion up, and when you're good on this champion, you do some pretty silly things.
When you're good, oh, you good. You good. I am really excited to see Taliyah here.
Good.
She's an incredibly dominant champion when you master her. And that's the thing as well, is her damage does not come from her ultimate in any way, shape, or form. So her kit is a little bit loaded with damage there if you can land the abilities. That is what she is gated by, is skill shots and accuracy as well as timing. Not so much by mana, cooldowns, things like that. It's all about being able to stick to the target, and that's what W6D3 is going to help them out with the Sivir ultimate. We saw a similar combination from Immortals yesterday with the wall off, Sivir ulti, catch the team.
And they've got Gragas as well, so many positional tools here for TSM to sort of play with. A really cool comp. You can kind of see that, yeah, they are going to change things up and stick to what's current. Bjergsen clearly been putting in the practice, but keen on a very solid champion in Victor. Definitely a lane to watch there. The coders will shake hands. Solid drafts for both. I think both teams are pretty happy with what they've gotten there.
Yeah, I'm really interested to watch what ends up happening with these two teams, because Apex, a lot of damage, a lot of AoE. Their wave clear is fine, but they can stop sieges with the Braum because of the Sivir. So TSM, they're going to have to rely a little bit on split push, but also catching and engaging.
Well, don't forget to send us in again with your votes on Twitter. If you think Apex has what it takes to pull the upset, tweet with the hashtag APX. But if you think TSM are going to remain unbeaten, use that hashtag TSMWin.
TSM, they're looking for their 12th match win of the season to go to the 2/3 point undefeated.
Well, we're out into the rift, but the top lane matchup is one to watch today, and Haunter shares his strategy for beating out Ray and Apex.
They're all like decent players, but they don't have anyone that really stands out other than Ray, and Ray picks like really cheesy picks that if he falls behind on, then he's just completely useless. So if the other top laner just plays safe or they counter gank and Ray falls behind, then they pretty much have no playmakers.
Yeah, that's actually been a problem for Apex. Is Ray is a playmaker in the sense of he's going to jump in and have confidence and sometimes a little bit of arrogance and recklessness. But Keen really isn't the guy who's engaging unless he's on like a Jarvan, right? But Apollo and Xpecial, it's kind of the tug of war where Apollo wants to play passive, Xpecial wants to go in, Xpecial wants to engage these fights. And so Xpecial and Ray are really the two playmakers of this team, and that's why Xpecial still favors those melee supports.
Yeah, he's constantly playing Braum, Alistar, things that can go in and go big there. Ray, I think Apex in general have sort of normalized a lot of their drafts. You see very standard picks for Keen. Ray is taking a carry-esque champion, but it's not a Jarvan or anything, which was banned, to be fair. TSM at least respecting that pick here.
Yeah, it's pretty much team fight through and through for Apex. They have good gank assistance with the Rek'Sai to get Ray ahead, and then when he shows up in mid-game team fights, the Equalizer is going to be his main tool here to try and destroy this team. And it's actually quite easy to hit a Taliyah. She's low mobility, but she punishes other low mobility champions with her seismic shove.
Well, we'll have to take a look at that mid lane, because we are going to get standard lanes, actually. Haunter and Ray are going to get the chance to go head-to-head, and so are Keen and Bjergsen, of course, in this mid lane right now. Just some wave clear, but for Bjergsen to perhaps get aggressive, although he does have teleport, which we saw Pobelty use always, swapped off the Ignite, so decides he would rather have the global pressure than the kill pressure.
Yeah, Taliyah is all about out-rotating the enemy mid laner, and I'll be interested to see what he maxes. Pobelter maxed Q first, the Threaded Volley, but Scar was talking about how Unraveled Earth is a really good max back in the day. It may have changed over in terms of meta, but I'll see what Bjergsen ends up going with, because it gives you a little bit more wave clear if you max the E, and then you get to roam, go to the side waves with your Weaver's Wall, and also use your teleport.
Good ward there, actually, from Bjergsen. Shrimp potentially thinking about a gank.
Yeah, it's a good timing, too, because as Rek'Sai, if you start on Gromp, you go Gromp, then your Wolves, then your Raptors, and then you can gank. Or if you go, and it's the opposite side of the map, if it was the red side, you go from your Krugs to red to Raptors, then you gank mid, and that's a 2-minute and 50-second gank.
Oh, huge play from Bjergsen! Almost gets the kill, actually.
That's the combo right there. You throw down the E and you W, and the W is really difficult to use, but if you are fast, it has a lockout on it currently, so you can't cast the E at the same time. But Bjergsen is fast enough that he's able to line it up, get the seismic shove correctly, and it really destroys people. It's so much damage.
Maybe wishes he had to Ignite there, because I think that would have been a kill if he did. Does force the flash out from Kane, though, so huge level 3 pressure as Svenskeren and Shrimp just going to pass by each other. Shrimp looking for a gank here in the mid lane. Bjergsen, now he sees it. Prey Seeker's been used. He does have the flash, but Shrimp cannot commit to that gank.
Yeah, but Svenskeren, is Bjergsen's actually pinging this? He has seismic shove. Svenskeren's coming in.
They're going to go for it.
Keen to flash.
He gets it, shoves him in as well. And there's first blood for Bjergsen. Sven, though, getting chased down. Shrimp with the damage, but Bjergsen going to try and flash in. Sven is going to go down to Shrimp, but Bjergsen might get himself a double here.
Bjergsen's cooldowns, not sure what they're at right now.
Oh, flashes forward, he wants it! Almost gets the last rock.
Almost. The fact that it comes out in a different cadence, it speeds up near the end, and it has a rhythm to it, not able to completely get it, but still gets the flash out of Shrimp, burns his own, and definitely worth it there, giving first blood to Bjergsen.
Well, we expected some action here in the mid lane, and that's what we've gotten. Bjergsen getting aggressive on Talia.
I'm going to take us back for a second here. Back in the Zed days, Bjergsen picked Zed, Keen counter-picked it with Urgot. It was an unknown counter at the time. So Bjergsen giving Keen a dose of his own medicine. He seems rather unfamiliar with the potential here of Talia, and able to get that first blood with the help of Svenskeren, really lining up that gank perfectly. And now Bjergsen has that edge in the lane in CS, gold, and apparently experience on the champion.
Yeah, double Doran's Negatron Cloak should make trading pretty easy, as we'll have a check-in with the bottom lane of the map. It's been mostly a farm fest here. Doublelift and Bifrost trying to keep the lane pushed up and aggressive wherever possible. But Apollo doing just a fine job here, making sure he CSs correctly. Apollo going to take some poke, but nothing to really worry about here. APX, unfortunately for them, kind of forced to play this lane pretty passive and just let Double and Bio push the wave into them.
Yeah, it's really just that matchup, right? The double range versus the melee support. It's kind of for the late game when you pick a melee support. Like Braum is all about stopping the sieges, blocking the Sivir abilities, and making sure that you can't clear the waves out.
Ooh, Keen does that one. Got a pair of boots on now, so going to get a little easier.
Yeah, I actually encourage you guys, if you haven't played Talia, to go play Talia and try to do what Bjergsen just did there with the W and the E. It takes a lot of time to get that down, because he's doing it very quickly.
Certainly is. Doublelift though, nice spell shield. Gets some mana back for his trouble. Bjergsen again continuing to be aggressive. Trying to set up bits of ground. Ray going to teleport back. We actually haven't had a look at top lane just yet, but also some farming there. Shrimp, though, is coming for a visit. See if Haunter can get out of this one. Yeah, he goes over a pink ward. So, enough vision there for Haunter. Just pops the W and runs back to the tower. Now level 6, they're going to get even harder, although Rumble also with his ultimate ready as well. Decent kill pressure there. Shrimp makes his way into the lane. Ooh, ulti from Keen. I like it. It's getting some damage down. Bjergsen actually does shove him out of the way. Doesn't get extra damage. Gets a little back on the mines as Keen's back into them, but that's just good pressure from Keen, knowing that he can burn the ulti and try and make some space in this lane.
Yep, and Bjergsen has to cancel his back and walk. Has teleport available to him, also has the Weaver's Wall, but he'll probably just walk back up here, use his refillable potion stacks.
And looks like it's now time to go back here. So Keen does have the blue buff, also of note, so he's having just a fine time shoving the wave out, but we'll need a few more items here. Definitely aware of the pressure Bjergsen can put on, and is calling Shrimp once again to this side lane. Bjergsen actually able to take out a ward and race here as well, as Apex maybe think about a dive.
Yeah, he's trying to line up his ultimate, but Bjergsen saw him with the ward that's in the Raptor pit.
Good ulti, but it's not quite enough. Damage isn't there. Ghost pop by Keen, slows there. Sven with a good cast. Keeps him out of the way.
Yeah, and the turret targets Shrimp there, so Keen stays alive.
Doesn't quite get a kill, unfortunately. Sven couldn't find a good way in to trap them under the turret, but protects his mid laner, which is probably the name of the game.
Yeah.
Bjergsen actually staying for a wave.
I definitely think that blowing your ultimate as Gragas in a trade for the ultimate of the Rex, or the Rumble, and the Ghost of the Victor is definitely worth it.
Well, Apollo's still pushing in because Doublelift's actually gone back to buy. Apollo should do the same now. It's BF Sword, Longsword there for Doublelift.
Ooh. So, yeah, speaking of purchases here, like, the Bjergsen backs for Swifties. So Talia builds are still very up in the air, but hold on.
Ulti in there. Haunter going to try and turn it around. He does have flash. Ray's now overheated. Teleport in. They're actually committing to try and get a kill here. Haunter.
Can he wall him?
To go back in. He's going to try it. Talia's here. Ray going to try and get a counter kill. Bjergsen takes him out, though.
Just goes for the brute force damage there. Haunter still had flash. Ray walked too far forward, and even with the 4.5 second channel time on teleport, still too far forward, and Haunter just baited him up.
We haven't talked about it yet, although we did hit it yesterday. Teleport changes. I think Bjergsen expected to be there a little faster. Haunter's like, what's going on, man? Get in my lane, but good teleport. And that's Ray, who was looking on track for a solo kill there. Stopped by TSM's team play once again.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about the roaming potential of Talia, because she arrives and she just throws down all of her abilities, and he overcommitted. Now Ray starts walking back, gets slowed again from the pillar, just barely, and then he tries to turn it because he thinks he can't get away from Bjergsen because the Taliyah wall, even though Shrimp was coming up. So it was a risk that Ray took, but that's Ray's style right there, is to try to get those kills.
Yep, look for the trade, doesn't get it. And Haunter will now return to the lane with the TMA all finished. Svenskeren trying a bit of counter jungling on his own. You'll see the red buff there. Shrimp does not feel safe enough, actually, with Bjergsen on the rise.
Gotta watch out for Bjergsen. He's hanging off on this side.
Apollo has priority here, though. This is not...
Yeah. Follow arrow.
Ooh, ooh! Got the red!
He got it, too!
Peace, we out! Svenskeren, very sneaky.
Yeah, the arrow goes by. Doesn't hit anybody, not even Hudson in the top lane, but... Oh. Well played there, Svenskeren. Shuts down Shrimp a little bit more. And the Rek'Sai behind the Gragas, usually you're going to see that Rek'Sai being ahead of the Gragas just by farming. And the fact that Shrimp even has a kill on him means that they were even in experience in terms of kills. But he's actually just a flat whole level up at this point. So Svenskeren will hit 8 and Shrimp will hit 7. Pretty much about the same time.
Sort of playing back on what you mentioned earlier where, you know, we saw Apollo next special come up. Bjergsen does have control of that mid lane and can join very quickly with the wall. So I think those 50 purchases you mentioned earlier, he just wants to get out of his lane as much as possible.
Exactly. Get out of his lane as much as possible. When you're near the walls, you get extra movement speed. He's going to try to wall off Ray here because Ray has no flash.
There
He
it
can't
is.
get back
Ray.
over.
Oh, big great pillar from Haunter. Ray going to get crushed down here, and that's an easy kill. That was sick.
Perfect usage there of the Taliyah. She really shuts down your options. What are you going to do at that point? You get the wave frozen on you. He roams faster than Victor because of the movement speed, because of the passive of Taliyah. And we see the ultimate used down bottom. It looks like it's going to be for naught at that point.
Maybe just a threaten here. Doublelift apparently didn't want to get all in, but he's safe for now. Just going to clear out the wave and go back home, perhaps. Teleport used back in for Ray, so now he's summonerless. As we'll watch this one again. This was set up so well by Haunter.
Yeah, there's no vision here from Apex. Yeah, the Weaver's Wall will actually knock you back as well, so it pops you up, kind of makes you glide over if you're directly on it. And he was on that side. The pillar definitely doubled down on that. And yeah, I guess this game's going to be a lot about Taliyah right now because she's fairly new.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going for Abyssal Scepter first. There were a couple Taliyah builds out there where it was a high priority on Rylai's first item just so you could get the threaded volley off. And, well, when you're really good and you're really fast with the Swifties, then you don't need that item immediately to stick to people. And it actually might actually stunt your, or stump your damage growth for a bit because Taliyah needs to take over the game.
And Bjergsen's doing just that so far. 3-0-0, 100% of his team's kills so far, and some great roaming plays made already. TSM, 2,000 gold up just from the early laning phase here, as Sven and Shrimp are fighting for a camp once again.
Yep.
Who's going to win this time? It is Shrimp.
It is Shrimp, but there goes a ward from Svenskeren at the same time. Puts it in the bush. No Raptor buff for you. Don't clear out the wards that I have all throughout your jungle. He's going to look down bottom. Apollo has arrow.
Ooh, eats it too as a tag. Sven's like, all right, got to bail. Shrimp here as well, but Bjergsen's also going to come back in. No ulti, but plenty of speed to come down and maybe just threaten them off this turret.
Yeah, it's a 2-minute cooldown for the Weaver's Wall at rank 1. So it'll take him a decent amount of time before he has that back up. And they get that turret. So yeah, TSM, just brute force. And they've always been about, in this split, having pressure. And Bjergsen on this champion with the roams just adds so much pressure. And I was watching the stream that Scara, Freak, and Mark Z did, where they were talking about Bjergsen's pressure versus other mid laners. There's some people who are like equally skilled, mechanically, stuff like that. But his roams and his pressure, unparalleled.
Feels okay, actually. Predicting the lead on the Seismic Shove. Doesn't get it. TSM, they're able to get the Mountain Drake for themselves. Ulti out from Kane's going to keep Bjergsen a little low, but looks like a potion stack and should be okay.
Yeah, and Bjergsen gets to do things like that too now because he's played the mind game. You don't know if I'm roaming or not, and I'm more powerful than you, so I can sit in this bush and you can't check it without taking damage. But if you don't check it, then you don't know if I'm there or not, and your top lane or your bottom lane is in danger.
Yeah, Roberto actually played this champion earlier. When I asked him about it, he said that Taliyah just kind of feels like a slightly more powerful Twisted Fate in a lot of ways. So clearly there are roam parallels there. TSM are a team that, like you already mentioned, do want to play around the map. This feels like a really perfect champion for this team to master. Because Bjergsen, like you said, just constantly leaving.
Yeah, and it was always like play through the mid lane. Now it's play through whatever lane has an advantage. And it could be Bjergsen having the advantage, or it could be him going to other lanes, getting an advantage for himself with the kills, because he has all of them right now, and setting up his lanes for success. And when you have a skilled player like that and the meta revolving around mid lane spilling over, then it just seems like kind of a no-brainer at that point. And it actually goes for the Morello Nomicon here. Okay, so just random because I thought it was the Abyssal Scepter, but this will give him mono regen as well as that cooldown reduction, a little bit more of it, and the AP is substantial. So
Yeah.
100 AP helping him out.
Still super efficient as far as items go, but we'll see where the rest of that build goes through next. TSM looking for a Drake because they just took one. Looks like blue buff actually is where they want to be, but Shrimp hanging out, actually maybe being caught in the jungle here. Double Lift going to pop the ulti and try and chase down. Brom's going to look to save.
He flashed already.
Yeah, also a teleporting from Haunter looking to chase down, but Shrimp can't get out
Oh,
of
he's
this
going to
one.
go
There's
for
the wall.
more.
He's going to cut down more. He gets 2 out. Now Apollo completely caught out of position. Who's going to keep trying to take him down. He eats a pillar, and that's the first kill for Bifrost. X-Special now going to get chased down as Haunter burns the ultimate. Not quite in range for that, but Spain going to keep chasing in. Does have the ultimate. Flashes
Oh!
for barely gets knocked back out, and that's a kill for Haunter. And now they continue. Ray going to get snared up by the Karma as Haunter tanking everything in the face. King going to try and turn it around. Burns the ulti onto Svenskeren, but it's just not enough for Apex.
Are you kidding me? Svenskeren predicted the flash from X-Special. He flashes and throws the cask way in front of him and calls him on it.
Well, good play from TSM. They collapse for a few more kills. No objective to take just yet, but they are not done.
Absolutely insane. They want more.
Oh, Shrimp. Doesn't quite get tagged there. Apex, really, it's a hard team to keep up with at the best of times, but with the champions they've picked for themselves, they've got Talia, they've got Siva.
Yeah.
TSM just all over Apex right now.
And that's a big thing too, is Talia, all of her abilities can pretty much be cast while moving. They have a very, some of them have a very short root on them, like 0.25 second cast time. And she's definitely a Stone Weaver, right? She's running around, she's casting the Q and moving simultaneously, and she gets extra movement speed when she's on her worked ground. So her kit is just loaded with all these mobility tools that he gets to skirt these fights. And it's just a great play here because I thought he was just going to cut off Shrimp. He cuts off the whole team, even Hanser. So goes after Apollo. Apollo can't back up. He's kind of got a catch-22 at that point. And Bjergsen's like, honestly, astoundingly quick at the WE combo. Svenskeren flash. X-Special flashes at the same time. The barrel was already predicting where X-Special was going to go. Really well played there from Svenskeren.
Yep.
And that's what TSM are doing. They're cutting off options. You saw Bjergsen throw down the EW. Apollo can't go forward or backward at that point. He has to stand his ground and fight.
Well,
and so he covered the option of the flash.
It's not just Bjergsen that's looking good, certainly, in this game. The rest of TSM reaping the benefits of all this pressure coming out of the mid laner. You can see everyone is ahead in their lanes. Haunter is up by 25 CS. Double Lift is up by 10 right now, but he was up by more earlier. And Bjergsen's just up as well, with Sven also out jungling Shrimp. So these gold leads across the board. I mean, TSM are ahead, what, 4,000 gold almost at this point? And that's pretty much just laning phase.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes. And I always like to look at gold like this as a percentage increase. So at this point, they're looking at like 120% of the enemy team's gold. So TSM are doing really well for themselves.
Certainly looking good as Apex are trying to get something back here, maybe in the bottom lane tower. Haunter actually, though, all that lane pressure starting to build up, and that's cascading into more objectives. TSM now 2 turrets to 0, getting themselves some extra gold. Bjergsen still just constantly surfing out of vision.
Yeah, it's scary. It's pressure. When you can't see the guy, they can't make a lot of choices. They're like, he's stronger than me. I can't check that area. And I gotta guess, I warn my laner and I play safe. But then if you play super safe, you give stuff up, like Dragon Control, which will be up in a minute.
Yep, trying to move up top lane though, potentially for Bjergsen. Long lane for Ray to try and get out of. Does have the ultimate ready, but apparently going to piece back. Looks like
Ray has no flash.
Oh, actually going back in for it. Ray,
Whoa.
maybe going to get shoved back here. Does get slowed in. W not going to hit. Ray stands his ground, and Bjergsen going to keep chasing, but the pillar's there. Ray's forced to burn the ulti, and Haunter should be able to chase him down. Ray nowhere good to go, and that's a kill for Bjergsen.
Yep, again, taking advantage of the flashes being down. The Weaver's wall cooldown now dropping to 100 seconds. So yeah, you can use it about 3 times in a flash timer.
Ooh, arrow.
Oh, nice spell shield there from Double Lift.
Casual.
Yep.
Just soaks it up. And you can see TSM now transferring that pressure to mid lane. Just looking to knock down the outer turrets. And much like Twisted Fate, Talia is pretty scary when the maps open up like this. Apex is starting to run out of wiggle room.
Yeah, and even more so now because the Rift Herald is going to go over to Hanser here. This has been one of Ray's biggest tools for having an advantage over his opponent. And with that going over to Hanser, it just gives him an even bigger lead in this matchup here.
TSM never done with the pressure. Probably looking at that Drake spawn that's up in about 5 seconds. Do have the one mountain already. Ocean Drake now spawning, so TSM in position to try and take it down. Everyone can join. Teleports are all up. Apex are actually in the area for a potential challenge, but I don't know if they want to fight TSM right now.
No, I don't think they do. They have a team fight composition, but TSM, on the other hand, their roaming power has been so strong that it's actually created a scenario where the team fight comp doesn't want a team fight you, even though you're more pick and roaming. But you want to get out of laning phase. That's the thing. Is as Apex's comp, you're like, let's get out of laning phase. But now you get out of laning phase, you're like, well, they're just stronger than us.
Yeah, a little too far behind, perhaps, as TSM just straight up starting the Drake in their faces. Apex, can they find a way in here?
This could be a back-breaking fight here.
Teleport in from Haunter. Going to try and start it. It actually does go over to Shrimp, but they might lose a bit more. Shrimp dying on the bottom end of the fight there, but I think he barely escaped. But a special cut off again by a nice wall. Probably going to go down as Ray fighting Sven in the back of the pit. Haunter taking too much damage, and TSM haven't quite secured their kills yet. Sven going to flash in for it, trying to chase down Apollo.
The Victor
turning it around. Keen, massive damage on the back, and there's a double. A third kill for Apex as they steal the Drake and turn it around.
And the team fight team comes up huge in that fight. Bjergsen still has flash, but he wasn't the one who's in danger. It was the rest of his team not paying attention to Keen's damage. That was a really well-skirted fight there for Apex, and they're going to try to take down this mid turret. Bjergsen gets dangerously low as well.
Yeah, Keen actually got clipped by a Talia W, so Keen doesn't really fancy pushing forward. TSM will hold onto their turrets for now, but Ocean Drake went over. TSM losing 3. There's a big swing of gold in the right direction for Apex. TSM still up 4K, so we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, so TP comes down. I love the ultimate from Ray, and I also love the ultimate that comes down from Keen. They end up picking it up, flash, tunnel out from Ray, or from Shrimp, and then Keen on the opposite side of the wall. He's actually in safe territory right now. Bjergsen trying to take it down as soon as possible. And this right here, the ultimate from Keen in the back line, chasing them down. Svenskeren has to go up this choke point, and Victor now in a prime position. Doublelift trying to walk forward to finish off in special, and Ray had already walked around the side. And that's a 3 for 0 in favor of Apex, and they get right back in it. 3.7K gold advantage for TSM still.
I'm also fairly certain Keen didn't have Rylai's when that fight started and has now completed it, so big swing of gold, and that would have made it worse. Bjergsen does dodge that arrow out, but Apex looking to take this turret. Special shove back and start eating damage. Turret not dead just yet. In fact, that's a lot of damage. Special lucky to get out of that one.
Yeah. Pretty relentless there.
Oh,
Weaver's wall. Oh, Ray out of position.
Yeah, equalized it down, but he's taking too much damage. He will go down. As Haunter maybe looking for a chase. Svenskeren ulti at the ready, but no flash. TSM heavily guarding that mid turret. In fact, they look to take a trade back, and they should get this mid adder instead.
TSM 3 turrets to 0. And they're playing really well right now, but still, they're trying to just get this lead larger and larger. Apex at the same time, they're looking for some team fights, but some of their champions are very ultimate cooldown reliant, like the Rumble. So you can't have those continuous team fights like TSM can, where they're just waiting for, oh, you know, Bjergsen's wall's up again, and they're able to get a pick.
This exchange again here, because Sven almost got himself caught, but Ray's like, oh, I'm standing in the wrong spot now.
Yeah, he went off to the side, and then he gets walled off, so great pick there. And you don't always expect Haunter to be at that point. He had used his TP previously, so he ended up walking.
Just hanging out in the area. Seeing the sights. Good enough for a pillar there to cut him off, as Bjergsen now up to 5-0 and 2. TSM still holding their strong lead in this game. And Talia's Waveplay not so bad. Special actually doing a smart job blocking it off, but there's the E out and there's another Q. Goodbye Minion Wave, and that tower's still standing. Apex starting to look at it, thinking that's an awfully sore spot for them. Haunter even getting side lane pressure down as well.
Yep, definitely with that Rift Herald buff. Going to do a lot of damage here. Rumble's wave clear is a little bit better than it was in the past, but he can't deal with this. He's 2 levels down. Haunter has only missed out on 1 kill in terms of participation, and that Rumble has nothing up against that Spirit Visage completed Trundle.
And not enough vision for Haunter. He actually is completely safe to push this, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
So he's making sure he plays safely with members of Apex missing off the map. Now Ray's coming down.
As soon as he sees Ray, he may actually try to camp in this bush and wait. We'll see.
Can't see.
Probably has a lot of ways
now,
to check
I think.
in.
Yeah, Haunter just chilling out. I mean, that tower, he had red buff as well, so that tower will die very quickly. Haunter is happy to push it out. Bjergsen's actually covering now as well. And that gives Haunter the knowledge. Okay, I can't keep pushing out aggressively.
Bjergsen's like, the flash is down. It's time to strike. And again, Ray is going to get sectioned off.
Equalizer there, but he's cut off by every bit of terrain. And Bjergsen's just dominating now.
This looks brutal for the top laner of Apex. They play through him so often, but in this game, TSM have just eliminated that as an option.
Yep. Not just using, you know, the jungler and top lane synergy, but throw the mid laner up there as well. And just every single time Ray looks like he's out of position, punish there with an easy kill. Again, it's very similar to Twisted Fate play. And Bjergsen is pretty good on that champion.
Yeah, it's different. Everybody has to know how to play against Talia, not just the mid laner. You have to know when you're out of position against this champion because it's a different, I want to say circle of threat or zone of threat that she has. So you have to pay attention to that. Places that are normally safe may not be safe against Talia.
And you can see now TSM almost up to 10,000 gold ahead. Took 2 turrets, both the mid and the bottom tier 2, after Bjergsen walled down to get that kill. So Drake up in a minute. TSM looking to continue snowballing their lead ahead here. Apex gonna have to hold on for a little longer as to watch Bjergsen's wonderful gank again.
Yeah, it's like he's out of position. It's like Ray is underneath his turret with a little bit of a minion wave, but Hanser and Bjergsen able to go up, and circle of influence is what I was looking for there. The circle of influence that Talia has to force you to back up is much larger than a lot of champions. So you always have to be conscious of that. You always have to be able to count that she can join that fight, and his ultimate's already back up.
It's going to get trickier as well as the map opens up. It's just more ground for Bjergsen to work with. Drake up in 20 seconds now, with Bjergsen still holding strong in this mid lane. Does have the Rylai's now finished, and an Abyssal Scepter added in. So both the items you thought of are now here. And 3-item Talia is pretty strong at this stage of the game.
Yeah, wanted the cooldown reduction first, but got the Null Magic Mantle to deal with the Victor. You saw when Keen threw down the ultimate very early on at level 6. Null Magic Mantle was already there for Bjergsen. It probably would have pushed him completely out of lane if he didn't have it. So the defensive stats first. Now working towards the team fighting build.
Haunter still with TP as well, working on yet another turret. Glimpse of the Void still active, so he does good damage here.
Oh yeah.
Gonna pop the W and start smacking it down. Apex rushing the Drake, but TSM are on Baron.
They're just going to go towards the opposite side. Hanser's going to finish off this top tier 2. Baron on the table. Baron speed for this team is actually pretty decent. It's not incredible, but it's okay.
Yeah, it gets down to about 50% health, but without Trundle there specifically, TSM don't feel confident. They pop the ulti looking for a chase.
They're trying to out-rotate. They're trying to out-rotate. They're trying to get there first. You could wall them off from actually taking any route, but he's just going to go through, get to this turret, push towards this inhibitor because they just out-rotated them very handily.
Don't need it just yet, but look for it potentially. TSM have a lot of options. Bjergsen moving out to make a wall, I think, but Keen getting himself caught. They do want the inhib, but Keen's been chunked out already. Ulti out there from Ray, going to try and cut them off. Double lift actually hit up by Xpecial, but Sven tanking in the front line there. Shrimp gets knocked back there as the damage is a little too much. Xpecial caught out of position all on his own as Haunter soaking damage versus the 3 carries. Double lift, we're going to chase through as the Karma Shield's going to speed him forward. Ray finally goes down. He actually gets a double for his troubles. And TSM take the inhib as well. That's a slaughter.
Yep. Doesn't even have to use the ultimate there on the Talia. Didn't really have an opportunity to do so, but Double Lift walks through. There's so many threats on this team because Hanser is so big. And I just love the rotation there from TSM. Completely out-rotated. We are 26 minutes in, and it's already a 12k gold advantage for TSM. And they're looking to make that even larger now with this Baron.
They are on top of the Baron. This should be uncontested. Bjergsen actually TP's his way back down, holds his wall, and make sure he's there to commit with his team for the Baron. Does go over to TSM though, and this is quite a mountain to climb for Apex. Infernal Drake also up as we'll watch this rotation again.
It was just really well played there. The Karma, the Sivir, full knowledge there of the abilities that TSM were able to use, and Bjergsen spots Shrimp on the backside and the flank coming in. Ultimate comes down, the flash knockup onto Bjergsen, but then the exhaust from Biofrost makes sure Shrimp doesn't get anything done. And then Shrimp gets popped to the side. Double Lift is just hammering away at Xpecial the entire time. Doesn't really have any backup. Whereas Svenskeren, he's there to support Double Lift. And then on the right side, Hanser was just taking care of the rest of Apex. Hanser was soaking damage, making complete use of his combination of Ravenous Hydra as well as having the Spirit Visage.
Yeah, the tanks of TSM have absolutely won the arms race this time. Apex just don't have enough damage right now to really burn through those 2 tanky members. TSM now looking to assault the bottom half of the map, it looks like. Drake not up just yet, but Infernal will be a key one to get if the game doesn't end by that point. TSM, they're going to close this one up pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're going to play it by the book here. Top lane has super minions constantly pushing. Rumble will have to answer that and then TP into a fight if there is one. And they're going to push out mid wave, bottom wave, while Hanser is continually down here and trying to get some damage back and forth.
Plenty of Baron buff left to play with as well. So TSM is going to pillar up Apollo. Double Lift going to move in with a shield on, take down this turret. And Garen actually might have been threatened with an ulti, but that turret melts. TSM are looking for this inhib. Doesn't look like Apex want to defend though. They don't defend that one, but do they defend the next one? Because they're kind of running out of stuff to protect.
Yeah, they're just going to take 3 inhibs here, or maybe go for the next team fight.
Look at these two. It's Karen and Haunter just hanging out, zoning off 5 members of Apex casually as Double Lift goes to catch the minion wave and shove it down mid. It's a little tricky, to say the least. Is Haunter even going to take a bite out of Shrimp? Yeah, this is so hard.
No fear. Level 16 for both solo laners.
Hello.
And they walls off Keen.
Keen maybe in trouble, but Sven can't quite find the line. Actually pops him back over the wall. TSM trying to get creative in the siege. Haunter gets so much health back as the Mikhails is there as well from Biofrost. Just popped the ulti, Mikhail from Biofrost, and Haunter's back to full health, tanking a turret with his face.
Awesome item by there.
Sven gets Keen. Oh, good flash. Dirksen chasing in, but TSM a little too much. Yeah, Haunter goes down. Keen gets another kill for himself, and Sven almost going to get caught out here, but no chase for Apex. Do get the flash, though.
Yeah, we talked about TSM being a risky team. They'll take these risks, but they're so far up in gold that they would have to have these risks turned into blunders like 3 more times in order for Apex to really get back into this game. It's still something that they can hope for because Apex have been punishing accordingly. That's the second time we've seen a fight go in their favor.
Yeah, Keen is the one picking up those kills for the most part as well. I like the idea here from Bjergsen.
Yeah, Keen still has flash as well, and Talia doesn't have to follow the wall, so he decides not to. He decides to just section them off from the turret and try to make it so you can't defend it. As actually a very great positioning for that wall where it goes through the turret so that they can't walk up on the right side and you go on the left and deal damage to it, which was the goal there. Tries to get Keen into his team. Nope, doesn't happen. Tanks the turret forever. Haunter finally goes down. Had used his ultimate previously, so didn't have it there for the large amount of regen. And Haunter now looking for a TP to keep this minion invulnerable.
Yeah, we're back. That's kind of the right way to do it, I think. Guess TSM going to break another inhib here. Haunter just sectioning off Keen, actually going to slow him down with a pillar. Still taking damage, does have the ulti ready. Double if, few more autos. And that's enough for the 3rd inhib to fall.
Yeah, there was a post about it on Reddit where the TP nerf was actually a buff because the 4.5 seconds means that that minion tanking the turret is invulnerable for 1 more second. So you have 1 more second of that unbreakable siege. He's going to wall them off from it so that they can do some damage to this turret. But nope, he's looking for somebody to actually catch out. Didn't work out.
Doesn't commit. Shrimp though, knock back in. Pretty tanky though on the Rek'Sai. Arrow hits Bjergsen actually. Now King going to move in for it. Shrimp gets the knockup. Going to flash in straight forward. But couldn't quite get the kill. Shrimp's going to have his GA pop. Sven still zoning him off, and it's too much damage from the TSM backline. Shrimp now going to go down, and it's 5v4 as Apollo almost goes down solo to Double If. Ray will fall, actually, as Double If just face tanks it.
Yeah, TSM, they have minions pouring into the base here.
And that should be game here. Svenskeren trying to do what he can, getting a little low, but TSM should have been able to bust through these turrets. The Nexus now exposed, and TSM, in dominating fashion, will take the first one.
And with the Talia Bjergsen, 7-0-5, 100% kill participation on that champion. Absolutely destroyed not just his lane with the help of Svenskeren early, but the entire map. Really great display there of that champion. Teams are going to have to, especially since TSM is the #1 team, and it's not